First, today, I'd like to bring our attention to our founder, Acharya. And the word Acharya comes from achar, which means behavior. Feel free to just speak up on the... We don't mind. Acharya with a capital A designates a teacher in the spiritual line who has accomplished more than others. For instance, by producing literature and by establishing spiritual centers and by initiating new people into the line of the practice. So one of the titles for the founder of our organization is Acharya, and the other, of course, is founder, because although this is an ancient system, Bhakti Yoga comes from Krishna originally. He teaches it to various students. Even at the beginning of creation, he tells Brahma the essence of Bhakti Yoga, but still it needs to be enacted. That's fairly obvious because in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is re-speaking the Bhagavad Gita, and he says, Yoga Nashta Parantapad to Arjuna, that this system has been diminished over time, not the system itself, but the knowledge of it, and it needs to be restated. So when somebody founds an organization based on the original teachings, it's consequential. It renews it in society because the general tendency for everyone is to forget about it and get on with their own lives, which generally take them in ways that don't conform to the practice of Bhakti Yoga. His other title, and I'm referring to the image of our founder Acharya, who is sitting on that seat called the Vaisesika, which is a seat where the representative of the Sampradaya sits, indicating that he's a representative of Vyasadeva, or the incarnation of Krishna who teaches the knowledge of Bhakti Yoga. And Prabhupada is a title of esteem, which means that he teaches many others how to become teachers. That's one of the most difficult things to do, is to train others, teach others how they can come up to the standard of teaching Bhakti Yoga to others, and also to be examples, to have good achar, and also that way to become acharyas themselves. So this organization is based on the teachings of Krishna from the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam, and it's brought to us by Srila Prabhupada, who's, as I said, the founder Acharya. So I first offer my respects to him, and I thank everyone for coming today, and I offer you my respects. Thank you very much for taking this so seriously, to come in on a spring day when you could be playing Frisbee somewhere else. So there's a tradition in the Vedic culture of asking questions and having them answered. We find in the Bhagavad Gita, which is the primary text for learning the basics of Bhakti Yoga, that Arjuna, in the 8th chapter, asks Krishna several questions which are important for us because we're living in this world and we're also confronted with many awkward situations, not the least of which is that there's birth, death, old age, and disease, as Krishna points out in the Bhagavad Gita. So Arjuna very helpfully asks, Kin tad Brahma kim adhyatmam? These first two questions to Krishna in the 8th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita are, what is spirit? What does it mean? And also, what's the self? the idea of a self is self-evident in the way that we know that we exist. We can become aware of the fact that we're alive, that we have consciousness, and we have a sense of identity. So Arjuna wants to know, what is that? What is that self? Kim tad brahma kim adhyatma, kim karma purushottama. Purushottama is another name for Krishna. And he's asking this question, what's karma? That's a big topic. People use the word oftentimes. And most people that I've interviewed when speaking to them on the streets or elsewhere, and I ask, what does karma mean to you? And they say, what goes around comes around. That's, I would say, 90%. Others express a similar idea, but in maybe a few different words. And some people say, I don't know what it means. Or they give some other answer, miscellaneous other answers. But generally there's a sense, karma, which actually comes from Sanskrit kri, which means to work, to act. So he says, what is that? What is karma? Kim karma purushottama. Adibhutam chikim proktam adidaivam kimuchate. Kim tad brahma kim adhyatmam kim karma purushottama. Adibhutam chikim prokta adidaivam kimuchate. So he's asking other questions, but I'm going to address the first few that he talks about when Krishna answers, especially I would like to talk about karma. And Krishna answering Arjuna says, Bhuta bhavod bhavakaro visargo karma sangjita. Sangjita means it is called. Karma sangjita. Bhuta bhavod udbhavakaro means, well, first I'll start with visarga. Visarga means that we're all creating something for ourselves. In fact, as there's a popular affirmation that we are the architects of our own future, the architects of our own lives. Have you heard that? And Krishna's affirming that. And he says, by the kind of consciousness that we develop, bhuta bhavod udbhava karo visarga, we create something for ourselves. That's helpful information because one might think that destiny is ruling everything, and to some degree there is some sense of destiny. We might be fatalistic and just think there's nothing we can do about anything. It just happens and we have to accept it. Most who are interested in improving themselves, however, at least come to a conclusion preliminarily that we can do something about our lives and we can alter our course in life by making decisions for ourselves. That requires having the wherewithal to be able to do that. That is, first of all, to be able to know how to make a good decision and also to have the sense control in order to do it. Sometimes we know what to do, but we can't do it. Is that true? I should just speak for myself, sister. We drawing into, you're being kind and saying yes, I agree. But there are ways in which we might notice that, that's a good idea. I've studied the idea. I want to do it. I'm going to do it. I even write it down, but then I find myself doing something else. Possible? Yes. It's possible. So it requires not only knowledge, but also the willpower and the sense control to be able to follow what is the ideal, what we've discerned by our intelligence to be the ideal things to do. Now, what's interesting to me whenever I hear the statement, bhuta bhavod bhavakaro, is that Krishna says, visarga karma sangita, you're creating for yourself a series of new situations, which includes bodies, because of the way you've associated yourself, the way you've conducted yourself, and it's consequential also, Arjuna's further question of Krishna, that how can somebody know you when they leave the body? And the implication of that is fleshed out in Krishna's answer that he gives after describing what is karma. And he says that if you're able to remember God at the time of death, then you'll change your situation drastically from being in a material body to elevating yourself to a spiritual body. And you'll live in a spiritual environment. Essentially, Krishna says, if you think of me, you'll come to me. And then Krishna says that whatever you remember when you leave this body, that you will attain. That brings in the importance of having a practice. And it's interesting to note that when we leave the body, there's a feeling that we have, that we've developed over our lifetime. And it's that feeling and what we remember most when we leave the body that directs us to our next body, which is an accommodation. The material world that we live in is accommodating us. And whatever we desire most and whatever feeling is most predominant when we leave the body at the time, at that juncture when we're departing from the body, the material nature will accommodate it and give us exactly what we desire in our next life. So the practice of bhakti yoga, devotional service, means to reshape the heart and develop a feeling for Krishna. Who is Krishna? Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And who is that? Well, there are very general definitions of God, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, starting with Janmadyasya Yataha, which means God is that from whom everything else and everyone else emanates. All energies, all personalities, everything, everyone comes from an original source. An original conscious source. So that's the name of the original conscious source, Krishna. There are many names for our original conscious source. Krishna is one, which means all attractive. Well, when I say original conscious source, it sounds like it could be an impersonal beginning. Of course, that doesn't make logical sense because we're here, and the source has to be at least as much as its emanations. And since we're persons and we have intelligence and we have free will and so forth, our source should logically also. The Srimad Bhagavatam therefore gives a couple more words that define Krishna, or the source of everything, abhigna and swarat. So abhigna means that he's fully conscious. And swarat means fully independent. We may not be fully independent. That's a kind way of saying that we're not. We're minutely independent. We can make choices, and that's important to note. But we're not supremely or unlimitedly independent, whereas our source is. And we're conscious, but we're not unlimitedly conscious. It says the Bhagavad Gita and also the Srimad Bhagavatam, whereas our source is. For instance, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Vedaham samatitani vartamanani charjuna bhavishani chabhutani mamtu veda nakaschana, which means, I know everything. And I've met people that say that, I know everything, but they don't. They don't really know everything, but Krishna really does. He knows everything, and he knows everyone. He knows everything that's happening. As we sit here and as I speak, the question about artificial intelligence and its pros and cons loom. So especially, I guess cons more loom than pros do, because loom sounds like, right? Maybe you check it out. And one of the ruminations I've heard about AI being somewhat dangerous, I forgot the name of the person, the scientist, but he has said that we'll become more and more dependent on it because it knows more about us than we know about us. And that's already pretty true, because there's a way in which it discerns our likes and dislikes quite quickly and aggregates them into an offering back to us of various courses of action based on our preferences. I was thinking about that and how Krishna says, Vedaham samatitani. We do have an inclination towards AI, otherwise we wouldn't be hurtling towards this full dependence on it, based on an idea that, oh, wouldn't it be nice to have someone to consult who knows everything about me? And we have that inclination because we're part of Krishna. But we're a tiny part, and we're fully dependent on Him. Krishna's better than AI because He knows everything about us, but not just from this life, from all previous lives. But not just that, not just the aggregate of everything we've ever done, thought, or seen, or the feelings we've had and developed over countless lifetimes, but also He has a personal interest in us. Sanitya nitya sambandha prakritischa paraivasa, says the Sri Brahma Samhita, and that is that we have an intimate relationship with Krishna. And he also says, I'm your suhrit. There's many different kinds of friends you can have in this world. Sometimes friends become non-friends, and sometimes friends are proven when the going gets tough. And they're like, yeah, I can't make it this time. As Krishna's suhrit, he said, I never give up on you, and we have this eternal connection, and I'm always there with you. Plus, I know everything about you. It's pretty good when a friend knows everything about you and still likes you. And therefore, the inclination that we have to have a relationship with an all-knowing entity, although we're trying to reproduce it scientifically, is fully available in our relationship with Krishna. And the technology, so to speak, of Bhakti Yoga means to redevelop that sense of, first of all, full dependence on Krishna. There are stages of development, after all. It's required, we must have some sense of trust. Oftentimes, as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, people lose the sense of trust in a supreme controller because they either see random acts going on in the material world that don't seem fair, because they don't have a perspective to see how they're all playing out perfectly on the stage of karma, or they don't have a sense of an entity who is watching over us, who is benevolent for other reasons, or they've heard conflicting ideas about it and have a sense that our source is probably impersonal, or that we ourselves are conjured, or that the idea that we're conscious at all is simply an accident, in that the combination of various circumstances and elements has created a sense of us being aware of ourselves. So the great theistic science of the Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad Gita can take us through the forest of these many misconceptions to confirm what we already know, and that is that we exist. We have a nature, says the Srimad Bhagavatam, that it has three features: Sat, Chit, and ananda. So sat means that we exist, we're alive, and we can be aware that we're alive. It's self-confirming. Western philosophers have said, like Descartes, I think, therefore I am. A friend of mine said it should be the other way around. I am, therefore I think. Could go either way. But there is a sense of cognizance of our aliveness. And chit means the ways in which we have the ability to observe the world and see variety and distinguish one thing from another. Ananda means happiness. We find happiness in relationship, says the Srimad Bhagavatam, and in variety. Sat, Chit, Ananda. And our source, Krishna, also has these qualities, Sat, Chit, and Ananda. When these come through the filter of the apparatus of the material body and mind, the same inclinations are there to exist and to continue to exist. We don't favor the idea of not existing. It seems counterintuitive because we always exist. And when we identify with the body and mind, and there's an idea that at some point we'll be annihilated, that doesn't sit well with us, does it? Say, no, it doesn't sit well with me, Vaisesika Dasa. Even the little bugs I encounter around my house have a similar feeling. And they look at me and they say, you're not going to annihilate me, are you? Please don't. And I look at them and say, yeah, same here. And chit, we can come to be aware, to have discrimination and ananda. However, the kind of variety that we relish in this world and the relationships that we relish seem wholesome until they're not, and they seem permanent until they're not. And that's disconcerting. I've been around long enough to see that people don't last. I intuited it when I was a kid, and of course I had a few experiences just with public figures being assassinated. I was right around the time we need a class on how to carry cartels. That public figures were assassinated, and then I left me thinking anything can happen at any time. We can be here and then not be here and so forth. And that's disconcerting. And relationships can be broken, even the most intimate of relationships in this world. Lovers can become haters, and family members obviously are separated due to the course of time. So this is also disconcerting. So Bhakti Yoga is not an idea that will do away with desire or relationships or variety or art or beauty or any of that. But it means to redirect our heart's desires towards a relationship that's eternal. Now, our original source, as I said, is Abhigna and Surat, fully conscious and independent and unlimitedly able to reciprocate with every living entity. Another very interesting feature about us, as sometimes people say souls, or as independent entities, units of consciousness, sparks of the supreme fire, is that we each have our own signature. I used to practice signing my father's name. I got pretty good at it. I won't go into why I did that. But it did help out sometimes. And even when my father saw it later, he said, wow, that's pretty close. But an expert could see that it wasn't actually his. And it's amazing that every person has their own unique signature. Signature has many meanings, but one of them is that there's a unique aspect to something. Like music has its own signature. It's unlike any other piece. And every one of us, although we are unlimited as souls, we still have our own signature. We all have our own fingerprint, yeah. And nowadays it's more with the eyes. If you've noticed that, you don't have to touch anything anymore. You just go like, okay, we know who you are. And what the Srimad Bhagavatam points out is that we have a unique relationship with Krishna. And Krishna really lives to love and is looking forward to the reciprocation of love, because there are various motivations in this world. Fear, prospect, what do I get back? Duty, getting higher, and then love. And when there's the natural inclination to love, and it's directed towards our original divine source, who can also reciprocate unlimitedly in a kind of love that doesn't diminish or is never broken, except if we break it off by diverting our love in a way that's not fruitful for us. It expands unlimitedly, which is also a concept that's hard to believe while we're in the confines of our own tiny mind and perception of the world and who we are and what's possible. That means ananda, or unlimited happiness. And the variety that we search for in this material world actually comes from the spiritual world. One might think spirit means something that's insubstantial, that's you can't really define. This is a common understanding. Matter, we can look at it, it's really there, and it's substantial. Spirit, we don't even know what it is, basically. So in some way, it's reflected in the idea that the hard sciences, looking at material nature carefully, scrutinizing it, can really bring us to knowledge, whereas the idea of the spirit world, including faith in a supreme being, faith in that which is beyond what we can see, maybe the soul perhaps, that is something wispy and insubstantial. But it's the opposite. The great sages who have taken the trouble to look inwardly and discover not only themselves, but the source of themselves, and to see that reality is variegated and unlimitedly beautiful, then give this statement that Krishna reproduces in the Bhagavad Gita when he says, Nasato vidite bhavo, nabhavo vidite sata. Ubariyorapi dushnontas tvanayos tattvadarshibhi. That introspective people who have become tattvadarshis, they see the different categories of energy correctly. Tattva means thatness. Things have their own natural characteristics, and the characteristic of matter is that it's here today, gone tomorrow. It's bhava, it's always transforming from one state to another. It's not substantial. Whereas consciousness is substantial. Or we say spirit, consciousness, spirit, same thing. So the Bhagavad Gita and the sages of yore, great practitioners, or of modern day, who are able to discern the difference between what's real and what's not real, have made this declaration that there are some energies that are constantly changing and it's substantial, whereas other energies, the energy that actually what constitutes our very selves, as Krishna has said in answer to Arjuna's question, what is Brahman? He said that's which is permanent, and what is the self? It's the indestructible aspect of our existence. Everything else changes. In fact, the word to be or is or are, depending on how you render it, ultimately means that which remains. And the only part that remains with us is our spiritual core, which is the soul or the spirit, the spark of the divine. So Bhakti Yoga puts us immediately in touch with that experience, that which we already intuit, but we can't quite grasp, and we keep going in the wrong direction and grabbing the wrong things because they're the only things we know. When we come into the world, we see how beautiful it is, or not, and we also see variety. Some of it attracts us, some of it doesn't, depending on our conditioning. And there's not really a tangible way to get out of it. Therefore, most spiritual practices conclude that I'll just do away with all variety, and that ought to solve the problem. Only problem is it doesn't solve the problem. Why? Because we want beauty. Say, we want beauty. We want beauty. We really do. We want beauty. We also want love. And we want variety. And we want free choice, right? Say, we want free choice. Yeah, go to the kitchen. We want free choice. More variety. So that's available. And that's what Bhakti Yoga retrains us. Bhakti Yoga retrains us. The process retrains us to direct our attention toward the beauty of the spiritual world. And that's when we say Krishna. Krishna means the source of all variety, all beauty, all love. Everything we're actually looking for in one place. And in that sense, the practice of devotional service is not complex. It's simply, as the Bhagavatam says, bhayam dvitiya binibeshatasya ishad apetasya viparya yosmriti. We've turned our head away from the source of light, the source of beauty, and we're seeing the shadow and the reflection. That's also beautiful, but it's temporary. Can't get anything from the reflection, just as, and sometimes the reflection is called mirage. Can you look up mirage? I already asked you to look up another one, and I didn't ask you about it. But what does mirage mean? Where does it come from? Where do you think it comes from for 20 points? From heat. I was talking about the etymology, but I like your answer, so 20 points. Yeah, heat. In the desert, you see a lake, and then if you drive towards it in your Volvo station wagon, it doesn't matter how fast you go, you're not going to get there because it disappears. Let's have the mic over here. We're looking for the etymology, the history of the word. Where does it come from?
Do you want the definition as well, Marge?
What?
Do you want the definition as well?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. A mirage is a noun, and it's an optical illusion caused by atmospheric conditions, especially the appearance of a sheet of water in a desert or on a hot road caused by the refraction of light from the sky by heated air. And it comes from...
Just as a side note, and hold the place there, this is exactly how the Bhagavatam opens. First canto, please. Tejo varimridam yatha vinimayo yatra trisargo mrisha. There's a definition of the material world as a mirage, following this following this definition. And some people in the front row even know the whole verse. Right? It says, Muhyanti. So the definition, this is the translation. O my Lord, Sri Krishna, son of Vasudeva, O all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisance unto you. I meditate upon Lord Sri Krishna because he is the absolute truth and the primeval cause of all causes of the creation, sustenance, and destruction of the manifested universes. Is everyone listening? Yes. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations, and he is independent because there is no other cause beyond him. It is he only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being. By him, even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion, as one is bewildered by the illusory representations of water seen in fire, or land seen on water, or vice versa. Only because of him do the material universes temporarily manifested by the reactions of the three modes of nature appear factual, although they are unreal. I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Sri Krishna, who is eternally existent in the transcendental abode, which is forever free from the illusory representations of the material world. I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth. And I challenge you to memorize that English, and then whenever you present a book to someone, just say the whole thing. Who wants to take the challenge? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Good work. And what's the rest of it?
It comes from French, which is se mirer, and it means to be reflected. And it also comes from Latin, mirare, which means to look at.
Huh. Okay. So, I mean, just giving a preliminary, giving an introduction so that we can discuss it a little bit. But from the perspective of the saint who taught Bhagavat philosophy, Prahlad Maharaj, in his famous prayers to Lord Nrsingadev, started one of his prayers by saying, Kutra, where is it? Because he was talking about the happiness of the world. Kutrashi shruti sukham mrigatrishni rupa. He says that actually, whatever happiness we perceive in the material energy is a mirage. Mrigatrishni rupa actually means it's that reflection that the deer run after. They think there's water and they run and die. And he metaphorically is saying that those who are only absorbed in the idea that I'll find happiness in the variety of this world, and the aesthetics of this world, the beauty of this world, will run after it, but they won't be satisfied by it, and they'll die trying. Basically, that's what he's saying. Kvedam kalevaram asheshurjam viroham. And he says, actually, the body is like a petri dish, my words, but it's a way, it's a source of various diseases. It's not a bundle of happiness, actually, the material body. It's a vehicle. So, as a concluding statement to my concluding statement, Bhakti Yoga is not difficult, it's simple. It means redirecting our desire to experience beauty to the source of all beauty. And to taking care to use everything in the service of the original source. That way we don't become attached to that which is temporary. We still engage in it because we have to, but we use it in its proper place. And finally, that if we can even marginally engage like this throughout our lifetimes, we can reform the shape of our hearts. Not physically, I'm talking hearts poetically, in the sense that we have a predominant feeling for the world, for certain people, for animals, for the beauty of nature and so forth. That's all well and good, and it's natural, but it's, as I said, misdirected. So if we can develop those same feelings for Krishna and for the spiritual world, then our life's mission as human beings will be complete. We'll not miss anything either, because we'll still be engaged in variety and beauty, music, art, love, relationship, food. And everything that is desirable to the mind and heart, only it'll be oriented properly so that we'll be inextricably attached emotionally to Krishna and to everything about the spiritual world. And then, when we leave this body, which is of utmost importance, the way we leave the body, that's why Arjuna is asking the question, how is it that one is comported when one leaves one's body? And Krishna says, well, it depends. Depends how you live your life. And if you live your life in such a way that you're oriented towards reality and not towards the illusory representation of reality in this material world, then you'll be absorbed in that when you leave. And you'll have achieved the purpose of human life, which is not to get comfortable. It's like getting in an Uber and then trying to fix it up or something. Or a hotel room. Yeah, let's paint the walls. No, it's this opportunity, it's a classroom to improve ourselves and come to the ultimate conclusion of life, which is to redirect our love and our emotion towards Krishna, who is the source of all love and beauty. Om Tat Sat, or as they say in Japan, Om Tato Sato, which means the end, Ijo desu. So, what do you have to say in reply? One way you can reply is by just pointing out anything that you heard that caught your attention, or you can ask a question, and it better be good.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for that wonderful class, covering the points of our identification as a self and our relationship to the super self. That was very nice and for me, and a lot of points to think about. My question to you was that you started by saying that our characteristics is made of three things: Sat, Chit, and Ananda, and everybody is made of the same constituents. And then you said that we are unique. So when we are made of the same constituents, what is that makes us unique, and how is our service to the Lord unique from that perspective?
Well, in the material sense, we're made up of the same ingredients: earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, but we're all unique. Look around. It's not one person in here has the same signature. And it's what's true on the outside is true on the inside. The spiritual world is a source of variety. This is a reflection. The material body is a covering of our natural self. Of course, it's a covering of the subtle body, which gets formed according to our association with three modes of material nature. But it's very natural that we feel ourselves to be unique individuals because, according to Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita and Brahma in his prayers in the Bhagavatam, we are unique. We all have a unique relationship. So it's not that matter can form in unique ways. There are unlimited combinations and permutations. Start with three modalities and you can combine them in various ways. I mean, there are 8,400,000 species of life. But I've noticed that even within the species, you may just say, well, I don't know how many dogs there are, but there's a lot of different kind of dogs. But even if you take border collies, there's a lot of different kind of border collies. Not one border collie is the same as another. You can put that, my epithet. And just about, although it wasn't a question, the idea of us having a relationship with Krishna, we can become aware of his presence as the Paramatma. Krishna is another level of understanding God. We refer to him often and talk about our ideal relationship with Krishna. But he has many different ways that he accommodates us, and one of them is as Paramatma. So Param means supreme and Atma means self. So sun and then the rays of the sun. they're simultaneously one and different. So we have the distinction of being rays or photon, individual units of energy that emanate from the sun. You can't say they're not the sun, but at the same time they're independent units of sunshine. Now, there's a difference between the conscious entities who are the parts and the conscious entity who's the supreme whole. We're parts of the whole. And we, because we're conscious, we can become aware of our source or Paramatma. And one reason that we can become aware of Paramatma, the supreme spirit within our heart, is also personal. I don't mean to make it sound impersonal, him impersonal, is because he wants to make himself known. Now, we may say the infinitesimal can't know the infinite. That's true. But if the infinite wants to reveal himself to the infinitesimal, then who can stop him? And Krishna makes this very clear in the Bhagavad Gita. That's why it's such a beloved literature. People read it and they say, oh, actually somebody really cares about me. He says things like, Tesham satata yuktanam pajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayanti te. Which paraphrase means, I'm just waiting to help you. I'm here on the ready to give you everything you need at any second. It's just a matter of if you want it. And he doesn't interfere with our independence. But if we want to become aware of him, he's readily available. We can see him as our intelligence, just as so many people talk about writing or doing any creative act and then getting inspiration. Where does the inspiration come from? It comes from Paramatma. And as Prabhupada said, it's like a benevolent parent speaking to a child and saying, here, do this now, don't do that, and so forth. We can become aware of that. If you ever feel lonely, it's possible to be in human society or a family unit or any kind of association, and then you still feel lonely, like nobody understands me. Do you ever feel like that? Like, who can I actually tell everything to? That's really hard in this world. You try to find somebody. Who can I tell all my problems to where it won't diminish my sense of position in the world? I mean, that's a pretty close person where you can really open your heart and say, like, this is how I really am, and this is what I'm going through, and so forth. Hard to find because of social constraints and the way we play roles in this world and our sense of having to protect our particular position. It becomes troublesome. But there is a person who knows already, whom we can open our heart to and just say, okay, this is my situation. And Krishna's gracious. It's like, although he already knows, we can look through the Bhagavatam and see every time that somebody, in any situation, whether it's a situation of danger or whether they just get attracted to him and say, can I come with you? Instead of all this other stuff. And he's like, yeah, sure, why not? That's why I'm here. So that's a way that we never feel lonely. I always think, it's only as Romapad Maharaj once when I was in New York in 340 West 55th Street, and the service I was doing, distributing books in a particular place, had slowed down because it was a holiday. There was a lull at the end of it. And he said, why don't you go traveling? And I said, okay, I'll go. Who am I going with? He said, there is no one else. He's surprised to hear this story, actually. He said, I'm really sorry. Nothing to be sorry about, Maharaj. I enjoyed it, but he said, just remember, Prabhupada always said, you're never alone because Super Soul's in your heart. And on that basis, I jumped in a van and drove around the eastern seaboard by myself and realized that, yeah, based on the way he said it to me, that I was never alone. And we can feel like that at any time. In fact, when we chant japa, japa means, it's like a mantra meditation, a repetition of the mantra where we're saying it to Krishna. We can feel vulnerable. If you feel vulnerable when you chant and you say, oh, Krishna, I'm so lost. Krishna, I don't know anything. Thank you. I'm always happy to see I'm not getting kicked out. You're finished. Stop. Then we feel natural. It's a natural feeling to just kind of not be the controller and admit that I can't control anything and the world's confusing and it's frustrating and I'm trying my best, but I'm still getting knocked around. In fact, Prabhupada says that in one of his writings. He said, if you can pray to Krishna by telling him all your problems and just tell him how much you're getting tossed by the material ocean. I'm getting tossed like this and like that. And he can have real compassion for us and make arrangements so that we can develop an attitude where we're able to tolerate it and use our energy usefully. I'm not sure. Did I answer your question? Okay. You're not just being nice, right? Okay. Shraddha? Oh. Is that Godruma Pran? Wow, he looks so effulgent. It's hard to even see his name up there because it's Hiranmayena Patrena Satyasapi Hitamugam. We'll get to you right after Shraddha. Unless we can't find it. Oh, we found a mic. Go ahead.
Thank you so much, Maharaj, for such a wonderful class, and especially focusing on Prahlad Maharaj while we are on our way to Narsingham Chaturdashi coming up. So I was just reflecting on
product placement.
Yeah, I was just
you better memorize it. Go ahead.
Thank you. So I was just reflecting on Prahlad Maharaj's statements in the 7th canto. So while we were talking about where he says that that happiness is a mirage, but to his fellow students, he was also saying that if you try to pursue happiness, then your distress begins right.
That's amazing. Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, that always is a place where I stop and look twice, 3 times. He tells his friends, when you look for happiness in the material world, that's the very moment that you'll start to feel distress. So that indicates also what we've been talking about, that our alignment is crucial. If we're aligned to our purpose in this world, which is to reshape our hearts to be attached to Krishna and to follow the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, if I use everything in service to Krishna, then as Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Chief Krishna Das, a Bishwas, Korleto or Dukonai. If this is what you're invested in, he said, you're not going to have any problems. And that's pretty rare, to not have problems. We'll have problems, but no suffering. There's a difference. Suffering means what you grab onto and what you hold. In fact, you can trace it back. If we had our research department in full swing here, we'd look it up. But we'll go now to Godruma Pran.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. My humble obeisance to see you.
Great to see you.
I'm so happy to be
From
joining you.
New York City, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
Guru Maharaj.
Okay.
I have a reflection / question combined. I like the point you mentioned about how all of us have a unique key signature, and Krishna being a Bhagya Swarat, we have a minute sort of independence / uniqueness to it. So I was thinking about how do we sort of balance between cooperating with others, compromising our sort of agenda, as well as having our uniqueness in seva. So how do we sort of combine our uniqueness and also at the same time cooperate with others for service?
Well, one way is to realize that Krishna knows everything, therefore I don't have to have such an intense sense of competition with other living entities. There is a way of the material nature that we pit ourselves against one another, as is mentioned in the 2nd canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, that one living being is food for another. And that means hastani sahastanam, apanani chatushparam, palguni tatra mahatam, jivo jiva sajivanam. Description of this sense of icha dvesha, desire and hatred, means sense of, if you're alive, I don't have as much oxygen. If you're alive, I don't have as much food. If you're alive, I don't have as much land. I don't have as much money, and so forth. And there may be a sense of exploitation, competition, and so forth. And of course, that's there in the spiritual world, but not in the same way. There's a different kind of competition, and it's based on the idea that everything's being provided by Krishna, and all deeds are rewarded by Krishna. So there's no need to push to the front and say, me, or have a special kirtan. Look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me, da. So Krishna already sees you. And in fact, we find various heart-touching stories in which devotees who are doing service that is seemingly unnoticed by the common eye is noticed by Krishna. And he picks it out from the group and says, I know what you're doing. So that's one way to help ourselves. And Prabhupada, in his writings, makes bhakti and cooperation synonymous. If you're able to overcome the sense of material competition, identifying oneself as the body, and therefore I'm competing against other bodies, and you know that your spiritual soul and Krishna is witnessing everything, it quells that sense of material identity, which leads to a sense of competition, and then one's much more able to cooperate. And if another way, very practically, is to look at the greater good. For instance, just a very practical experience I've had with working by Krishna's grace in the service of book distribution over the years. I've seen various eras in which we distribute books. There have been times at which competition was so pronounced that if a person excelled in a certain way and had a way of doing things that was being successful, he or she might hide it from others, thinking like, I want to be on the top of the list. Or if a community had developed a certain way, then they might not want to share with other people. In fact, there were non-disclosure agreements. And extrication, if you had been, or expulsion, if you had revealed the secrets of that particular community, how they were actually doing it to others, God forbid, then you would be a heretic for that. I started to see that intensity, it was turned up too high. It was turned up, the knob was turned up on the competition so high that then it became less productive. And then we experimented with the idea that, hey, we're on one planet, let's work together as one global team. And I found that a lot of people felt relieved just hearing that mantra. Let's look at a global score and compete against ourselves. In fact, even ISV's great experiment, when I got involved here and started to tinker with book distribution in various ways, I never mentioned individual scores. We've never had it since the inception of this organization, have we? You're all right, right? See? In fact, we've done quite well. Out of all the centers around the world that are geared up to do book distribution, and there are hundreds of them, this is number 5 in the world. And we're competing against some communities that have a lot more human resources. Let's speak of field of distribution. And so cooperation works. It also feels better. And I've noticed at the same time that competition never goes away. It's actually natural. And Prabhupada explained that. He said, because we're unique, we always have our individual impetus to do it in a certain way. But if you do it in an atmosphere where you're remembering Krishna and you're doing it for him and not for your own aggrandizement, that I'm going to move to the top and be glorified, if you can subdue that part and make it more towards the overall mission succeeds, and then we're all in it together, one for all and all for one, then I find that the competition part, which is a natural part of being a living entity, comes down to the right level, doesn't get overheated. And if we can remember that in our dealings with other people and try to cooperate in different ways. Anyway, enough said. That was a good question, and as much as I'd like to say for now as an answer. Om Tato Sato. Okay, last question before last 3 questions, which I'll answer in under a minute. I'm going to do a magic show and answer them in under a minute, so I have time to chant. Sadhu's looking around saying, what happened to our full service operation here, and handing over a mic in 7 seconds or less?
Maharaj, I actually had a reflection.
Please.
You were saying how the bhakti process means to redirect your love to the Lord instead of material objects. And I really like that point, because as humans, it comes naturally for us to love someone or something. So if we just redirect our love to a more spiritual, and if we redirect our love to the Lord rather than a material object, it will be beneficial for us. And that led me to thinking that the bhakti process, we don't have to, do advanced yoga poses or, have dietary restrictions or anything. We can continue doing what we're doing, except we offer that to the Lord instead of offering it to ourselves. So.
Yeah, and as you were speaking, I was remembering how Kapila Dev talks about this principle that you've mentioned, and says that one of the most intimate ways that we direct our attention towards Krishna is by directing our love and service to the devotees. Because the devotees are dear to Krishna, they're his representatives in this world. And certainly more tangibly available to us. Krishna as an idea of Paramatma may be abstract to some degree. Of course, we have the deity to worship and the holy name and so forth. And all these really are, as Krishna says, pratyaksha dharmyam, the direct ways of contacting Krishna, although we may not have fully realized it yet. There is a way in which when we become attached to sadhus, and we can be with them and serve them and see their qualities, then that's also a way in which one becomes extricated from the material world. Thank you. Nice point. You were next. And I don't know if that was under a minute. I wasn't paying attention. Okay, Arman?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the amazing lecture. I also had a reflection on the introduction, or on the first part of the lecture. You talked about how Arjuna's questions helped us, and it reminded me of the introduction slash preface of your book, The 4 Questions. It reminded me because you talk about questions having a hook and pulling us in, and also about how questions can get us to the Supreme Lord. And I think that you also mentioned that in this lecture with the point about going to the Lord by asking questions, and that's how Arjuna went to the Lord, and that's how Arjuna gained all this knowledge to go to the Supreme World.
Bravo. Thank you very much, Arman. Haribol. Questions are the answer. Yes.
Hare Krishna. I have a question. When the soul leaves the body, right? That's the moment we're talking about that. Think about Krishna.
Keep it close.
Think about Krishna, and then you go to Krishna. In that moment, when the soul is leaving the body. So how many days does the soul wander around the body? That's my question. Is it like days, month, years, or like what? Like, how does it happen?
Well, it's not stereotype. It's not like an algorithm that's exact. But it's described karmana daiva netrena janto deho papate stru pravishta udaram pumso reta kanashraya. This is also Prahlad Maharaj, and he's explaining how there's daiva, or there's a higher control. Just like if you get arrested somewhere and they put you in handcuffs, they know where they're taking you. You don't know, but they do. So similarly, at time of death, there's that. Of course, that's in negative terms, but there's a higher arrangement for that. Now, one cultural aspect that is very practical, which is cremation. You notice that in the incidents that take place in Shastra, somebody passes away, and even in the Vedic system that people follow nowadays, as soon as the body, the soul leaves the body, then the body, except in some circumstances where the person's a renowned devotee, and then they put the body in samadhi. But they'll cremate the body before the sun sets that day, or as soon as possible. And one of the reasons is, so if there is a sense of being attached to that platform of the body, the soul's, you just take that out of the equation so the soul can move on to the next destination. Also in the Bhagavatams described how those who are destined for a next body and need some training in that, and I'll be euphemistic because it's a family show, they're taken right away in some cases, more in the sense of being taken away somewhere, as I mentioned in the first example in handcuffs. You had a question? Last one? Really the last one.
It wasn't a question, it was more of a reflection, adding on to what Sadhu
right
said.
Ahead.
I remember in Hari Parshad Prabhu's class, he mentioned that one of the most important things while progressing through bhakti is not only ignoring sense gratification, but also redirecting that, as you said, to Krishna consciousness. And he said that was really important because if we only focus on rejecting sense objects and things like that, then that eventually leads into Mayavad philosophy without also focusing on worshiping Krishna. So it's really important to keep the two sides equivalent.
Yeah, because jivas just want to have fun. And if you're able to be fully absorbed in the variety of the spiritual world, which we are, we go from festival to festival here. And we don't, when we're in Janmashtami, for instance, and we fast all day, we don't even notice it, right? In fact, we're going, we're so lucky we don't have to break for breakfast, lunch, dinner, anything. We feel liberated, and we don't care. It's not like we're thinking, I need a donut or something like that. But we're thinking, like, when's the next bhajan? We're going to have the abhishek and so forth. It is natural sense control. I like to say that real sense control means you always have somewhere better to be. I remember, once I was going to school and then friends were saying, oh, let's do this. And I said, no, I got to go study. I got to be in class. It's like you've got a higher ideal somewhere else. And you can put off other things because you have somewhere better to go, somewhere better to be. So always stay engaged in Krishna consciousness. That's why we emphasize good association, because in good association, time flies. And it's not like you even notice that there's some engagement in the material world. One example is in Rath Yatra time in Los Angeles. I remember this experience of being there for a week, working on different services right on Vaisesika Avenue, which is a devotional community that really is in a bubble-like situation where you don't see anything else and you don't do anything else except service. And then when we're driving down to the Rath Yatra, you see people walking along the street and you see signs advertising this and that, and you think, that's still going on? It's actually a startling experience, like, why are they still doing that? So now we're going to have a little kirtan, and we'll sing the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra together. We can start with just clapping hands to keep the beat. The Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is 3 divine names of the Supreme, Hare Krishna Rama. Everyone say Hare Krishna Rama. Hare Krishna Rama. Now say Hare Rama, Hare Krishna. Anyway you say it, it's nice. So we have a mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And we all get to keep time. So we'll start with a 1, 2, 3 beat. And one thing, just don't speed up. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya. All together. Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastimes Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari. Now call and repeat. I'll say it and then wait, you can say it. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everyone on this side sing. Just this side. Now everybody. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Everybody on this side. Everybody. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Everyone sitting in a chair or on a bench. One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. Everybody. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you, everyone. You sound fantastic, by the way. Really, really nice. It's beautiful. And we're going to now move to the next part of our program, which is the Hare Krishna dance party. Never miss a chance to dance. There's dancing in the spiritual world, and one of the ways that our spiritual master taught us to dance is to raise our hands in the air. You can do it at intervals, like when you're speaking the mantra, put your hands in the air. I have a picture. We were just in Japan, and the last program that we did was in a church in Tokyo. And I should have sent the picture ahead of time because it's pretty nice. Unless you have it, just send it really quick to Ramananda Saka or whoever's in the booth who can put it on the screen. You sent it to me in the text, so it's probably in a sent text. And when the music started, when the mantra permeated the room, and the people there felt inspired, they stood up and they started dancing. And you could see at the end, they all had their arms up. It was quite beautiful. So in the description of the spiritual world in the Brahma Samhita, it's described how people are always dancing. In fact, everything's rhythm and raga. It accompanies everything, and everyone feels like they're moving. In that case, it slightly resembles Bollywood in the way that, as a kid, it used to bug me. I hated musicals, except I did like Sound of Music. But there was a way in which, they break into song, and most of the time I think, oh, not again. But then it started to appeal to me more and more. And that whole genre, Bollywood, seems odd to some people. It's like, why are they always dancing, singing, rhythm, everything like that? They're just always on the verge of breaking out and singing, because Singing, dancing is actually a way, and I'm not saying Bollywood is like this necessarily. I'm just saying it's an emulation of the spiritual feeling that there's no other way to express yourself except through dance. Were you able to send it? Is anybody in the box who's got it? If we can get it in the next 30 seconds, we can show it. Possible? Yeah, okay. So, hands in the air also, there's a way, try it right now, just put your hands up. See that church we have? Yeah. And when you put your hands in the air, when you're chanting, then all your cares and troubles, they just fly away like birds. They go out of your heart. And then you don't even know where they are. They get lost in the woods somewhere. So we're going to stand up and move the room around a little bit, or the seats. We'll move the asanas back in their place. We'll roll up this rug. If the ladies want to stand on this side and the men on that side, or however you want to stand, wherever you feel comfortable, we make facility for you. And we'll start up again in about 1 minute and 32 seconds. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Is it working? Excuse me. It's on, Maharaj.
Thank you very much. Huh?
Do you have a preference?
No. Do you?
We could do monsoon.
Monsoon? Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Shri Madhe Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. It's all you. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarne. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Govinda Jai Jai, Gopala Jai Jai, Radha Ramana Hari, Govinda Jai Jai. Govinda Jai Jai, Gopala Jai Jai, Radha Ramana Hari, Govinda Jai Jai. Govinda Jai Jai, Gopala Jai Jai, Radha Ramana Hari, Govinda Jai Jai. Govinda Jai Jai, Gopala Jai Jai, Radha Ramana Hari, Govinda Jai Jai. Radha Ramana Hari, Govinda. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Acharya Ashtotar Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Acharya Ashtotar Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Maharaj Ki.
Nama Anantakoti Vaishnavinda ki, Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Vrinda ki. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shyamakunda Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki. Shri Vrindavan Dham ki. Shri Mayapur Navadip Dham ki. Shri Purushottam Kshetra Jagannath Puri Dham ki. Ganga Mai Yamuna Mai ki. Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi ki. Yamuna Devi Ganga Devi ki. Sam Veda Bhakta Vrinda ki. All glory to the Sambuddha devotees. All glory to the Sambuddha devotees. All glory to the Sambuddha devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga.
Namaste Nairasimhaya. Namaste Nairasimhaya. Prahlada Ladadaini. Prahlada Ladadaini. Hiranyakashi Purvakshaha. Hiranyakashi Purvakshaha. Shilatankanakalaye. Shilatankanakalaye. Ito Narsimha Parato Narsimha. Ito Narsimha Parato Narsimha. Yato Yato Yami Tato Narsimha. Yato Yato Yami Tato Narsimha. Yato Yato Yami Tato Narsimha. Bahir Narsimha, Hridaye Narsimha. Bahir Narsimha, Hridaye Narsimha. Narasimha Madim Sharanam Prapade. Narasimha Madim Sharanam Prapade. Avakara Kamalavare Nakam Adhuta Shringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubinga Ishabadita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Hiranyakashipu Tanubinga Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hari Jaya Jagadisha Hari Jaya Jagadisha Hari Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Nara Hari Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Nara Hari Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Shri Lakshmi Narasimha Maharaj ki jai, Prahlad Maharaj ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Deva ki jai, Hari Hari Bol.
Can you please turn on the lights in the back? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama. Hare Hare. We welcome you all to the Sunday Feast Festival here at ISKCON of Silicon Valley on a very nice sunny Sunday. Thank you for coming and spending your valuable time with us today evening. So let's give a big round of applause to everyone who has joined us here. Hare 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 Bol. Hare 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 Bol. Also, let's thank all our online viewers as well. Let's give them a big round of applause as well. Hare 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 Bol. Hare Bol. Today's discourse and Krishna Katha was brought to us by His Grace, Vaisesika Prabhu. So let's express our gratitude and thank him for a wonderful class tonight. Hare Hare Bol. Hare Hare Bol. Also, we would like to thank him for bringing an ecstatic Aarti and Kirtan. Hare Bol. We'd like to thank Bhakti in Vaishnavi for leading a Nrsimha Aarti. Hare Bol. And also let's thank His Grace Ramananda Saka Prabhu for bringing us the broadcast of the program. Hare Hare Bol. Anyone coming here for the first time? We have some devotees here. Thank you. Here. Thank you. Thank you for coming to the ISKCON of Silicon Valley. If you have any questions, please reach out to me or Sachindra Prabhu. My name is Sri Gopal Das. We would be happy to assist you in any way we can. Hare Krishna. And let's chant one Mahamantra for all the newcomers. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We have quite a few sponsors for tonight's feast. So we like to acknowledge them one by one, not in any particular order, but let's call upon them. First is our Vishakha Mataji, Vishakha Mahajan Mataji and Prabhu are sponsoring on the occasion of Prahlad's first birthday. Are they here? I saw them. Okay, Mataji, if you can please come. Yeah. By the time Mataji comes, I will announce the other sponsor. Om Prabhu and Jigisha Mataji. Om Prabhu is sponsoring on the occasion of Om Prabhu's and Jigisha Mataji's anniversary. So let's thank them after we are done. Yeah, Haribo. Please come, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. And where is little Prahlad? He's there?
Yeah, he's outside.
Okay. Thank you for sponsoring the feast. Would you like to say a few words?
Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. We just beg for Vaisesika Prabhu's Mataji's blessings and all the Vaishnavas' blessings so Prahlad can become a servant of Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
No, I'm good. Yes, please bless Prahlad to be a nice devotee of Krishna and serve all of you guys.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Om Prabhu and Jigisha Mataji, are they here? Om Prabhu. Okay, if not, let's thank them in their absentia. Hare Krishna. Because Prabhu and Shipra Mataji are also sponsoring on their anniversary, so they are not going to join us, so let's thank them also in their absentia. Haribo. And our next sponsor is Sham Bhakt Prabhu and Sham Karuna Mataji are sponsoring on the occasion of Vaishnavi's 18th birthday. Please come, Vaishnavi. Haribo. And it happened to be on April 18, right? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Vaishnavi. How does it feel to be an 18?
It feels good.
Okay. Are you all set to go for a college?
Yes.
Okay. So all our, there are a lot of kids that come, do you have any message? We've been, growing up, doing a lot of services. Do you have some message for them?
I would say that being a part of this community is a great blessing, and engaging in any service, whether it be like sitting through lectures or like listening to Kirtan or participating in the kitchen, is really nice for you to get more involved in the temple, and I'm grateful I was able to do that at a young age.
Haribo! Thank you, Vaishnavi. Here. And next sponsor. Okay, you can text me in the meanwhile. Akhil Prabhu is sponsoring on the occasion of his grandmother's first disappearance ceremony. So is he here? Akhil Prabhu, I saw him. Okay, if not, he is requesting prayers. So let's pray for Shri Radha Madan Mohan, Shri Lakshmi Narsingha, Sriman Mahaprabhu. If they so desire, please help Akhil Prabhu's grandmother in the spiritual progress. And let's thank him for sponsoring the feast. Hare Krishna. And the next sponsor is Gopal, Sham Kumari Mataji and Sham Jagannath Prabhu are sponsoring on the occasion of Shriyan's birthday. Hari Bol Shriyan, please come. When is your birthday?
It's on Wednesday.
What date?
April 24th.
And how old are you going to be?
10.
Wow, Shriyan is 2 digits. So, why do you come to temple? What is it that brings you every week after week here at ISKCON of Silicon Valley?
I think it would be Sunday school, Kirtan, the Prashadam, and then the playing also.
Thank you. Hare Krishna, Shriyan. this gift here. Hare Krishna. Raisheshwari Mataji. Sujanya Mataji from Mountain House, sponsoring for her son's admission in UC Irvine and seeking blessing of the devotees. Is she here? Oh, please come. And is your son here? No. Okay. Thank you, Mataji, for sponsoring. Oh, Prabhu is also here. Please introduce yourself, Prabhu.
Yeah, this is Mahesh.
Yeah, this is Saujanya from Mountain House.
Yeah,
thank you. Would you like to say a few words?
Yeah, we are happy to say like my son got into UCI, and please bless him.
Hare Krishna, thank you. And what is your son's name? Rajesh. So we pray for his all auspiciousness in his life and his progress in the spiritual life and also whatever does in his life. So let's thank Prabhu and Mataji for sponsoring tonight's feast. Hare Hari Bol. Okay, Om Prabhu has made his appearance. Please, Prabhu. Hari Bol. Is Jigisha Mataji here? No. Okay. Thank you, Om Prabhu, for sponsoring today's feast. And please tell us why you are sponsoring.
I'm sponsoring because it's our anniversary. And last year I saw that sponsoring at this time is very useful because everyone has attention. I think a lot of people get married around this time in India. So, yes. And I'm thankful, first of all. We are here and very well pampered by the ISKCON Silicon Valley Society. So it always feels home being here, taking part in various services. And yeah, please keep blessing us. And my wife is not here because she is feeling a little tired today. She is expecting, as a lot of you would know. So yes, please bless us so that we keep serving all of you.
Thank you, Om Prabhu. And oh, Venkatesh Prabhu and Madhuri Ragala Mataji are sponsoring on their son Hari's 6th birthday. Hari Bol. Please come. Yeah. That's your sister? Yeah, please come. Hari, how old are you now?
6.
I see. You are 6?
Yeah.
Right. And how old is your sister?
8.
8. And do you like your sister?
Yes.
Do you bother her?
No.
Is he telling the truth?
No.
Okay. What is your name?
Radhika.
Radhika and Hari. Beautiful names. And we wish Hari a very, very happy birthday, Hari. And I will give you the sweet, okay? All right? So just see me after some time, okay? After the program, okay? Thank you, Mataji and Prabhu, for sponsoring tonight's feast. Hare Krishna. Hare Hari Bol. So let's chant one Mahamantra for all our sponsors tonight. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So what's coming up next is I'm jumping ahead. April 26th is Friday, and it's our annual monthly Kirtan Oasis Festival. It's going to be on Friday, starting 6:59 p.m. at the intersection of Emerson Street and University Avenue in Lytton Plaza in Palo Alto. So we wish to see all of you there. Hopefully, Krishna willing, we will have the festival this time. We missed last couple of months. So please watch out for the email for the details. And also we need lot of help setting up, winding up the festival. So if you are available, please reach out to Shamalangi Mataji, myself, or Nitai Kirtan Prabhu. We would be happy to, engage you in that service. Okay. Hare Krishna. And we have some announcements from Rasheshwari Mataji.
Hare Krishna. So, those of you who may not have heard, next Saturday is a very big day for all the ISV devotees. We have 2 events. The first event is the annual day. We have 150 students in our Saturday and Sunday schools, and almost 150 students attend that school, and they're having their annual day. That's the flyer. It's at the Bishop Elementary School in Sunnyvale. We have rented a big auditorium, and there will be a lot of performances. If you click on that link, I don't know if we can click on that link, Prabhu, the tiny URL, there's a full program agenda which shows all the classes that are performing, all the way from 0 to 2 years, 3 to 5 years, 6 to 8 years, and then 9 to 11 years, 12 to 14 years, and so on. So we have all age groups performing different acts, dramas, bhajans, and dance performances, and there's live music. So please come. The event is free for all, and the parents and the children will be very happy to see you and welcome you, and you can participate in encouraging the children. That is from 10 to 1 p.m. Then there's a break, and then we have a very special Ramayana drama. For the last 2 years, ISV devotees have been putting together a fantastic drama, different khandas of Ramayana. This time it's the Aranya Khanda. And the difference is, all these actors are devotees who have been chanting rounds for many years. They are doing it as an act of complete devotion. It's not a regular theatrical performance where anyone is going to get any remuneration for it. So it's something which is coming from the heart of the devotees for the Lord. So once again, we are using our rental in elementary school in Bishop on the 27th at 2 p.m. till 3:15 p.m. It's a 1 hour, 15 minutes of a drama. And we are having tickets for this. It's only $5 per person just to cover the cost of that rental. We have a lot of seats available right now. Half the seats are gone, but we still have half the seats available. But the purpose is to invite everyone you know and come and watch, glorify the Lord, glorify His devotees, and encourage devotees to do more service in this way. It creates an impression on our hearts which we'll never forget. And children are especially benefited as they grow up, watching these wonderful dramas and devotees acting, watching what the Lord really means for all of us, what He can do for all of us. So please register. There is a flyer outside. There is a QR code that you can scan and register. And please come and encourage us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji. So now Soumya will announce the cooks for tonight.
Today's Sunday's feast was cooked by Shyama Bhakta Prabhu, Shyama Karuna Mataji, Shukada Mataji, Rasamrita Sesha Prabhu, Divyananda Prabhu, Hitesh Prabhu, Neha Mataji, Tarini Mataji, Tapume Mataji, Sri Ram Prabhu, Nitya Tarini Mataji, Padma Mataji, and Madhuri Mataji.
Anything that we missed for the announcement? No? So if not, we will go to Prasad Sevya prayers. Okay. Hari Bol.
Sharira Vidya Ja Jodendriya Dahika Jive File Vishaya Sagore Dharmate Jivayati Gopamai Sudhamati amon korivare jivajan swaprasadana dilobhan sayanamrita pao Radha Krishna guna gao Premeda ko Shri Chaitanya Nitai Premeda ko Shri Chaitanya Nitai Mahaprasade Govinde Nama Brahmani Vaishnave Kalpa Punya Vatam Rajan Vishvasane Vajayate Prasade Sarva Virasya Pajayate Prasana Chita Soyashu Buddhi Parya Vatishtate Tvayopa Bhukta Shakanda Vasulankara Charchitaha Vijishta Bhojina Dasa Stavamayam Jayemahi Shushkam Paryushitam Vapi Nitam Vaduradeshata Prapti Matrena Bhoktavyam Natra Kala Vicharana Nadesha Niyamastata Nakala Niyamastata Praptamanam Dutam Shishter Bhoktavyam Harira Pravin Bhagavad Shri Mahaprasada Ki. Please come take prasadam. Hare Krishna.